Retweet and good. Um, fantastic. All right, let's write some Elm. I have the stream over here on my other laptop, and it's distracting me. Turn it off. Okay. Um, right on. So, quick recap. I don't know how many viewers are around right now, but I shared the part one of this uh, earlier today. So a couple weeks ago now, we started just hacking around in the internals of Elm's virtual DOM library to get it to run inside of a web worker. And so for people who aren't familiar with Elm, because I know this isn't strictly an Elm audience tonight, Elm has kind of three parts. So it has a model and a view and an update. So the model is like the state of your browser application. The update is a function that determines how your model changes over time, and the view is a function of the model that will output some stuff, some HTML. So what I want to, and all that stuff runs in the browser in the main thread. So what I kind of want to know is, can we mess with the virtual DOM program function and get it to run stuff in a web worker so that we're doing updates, changes to our model in a web worker, and then just sending over new models to run in the view on the main thread. So I need to do a little bit of a refresh for myself from last time. All the stuff that we do is going to be in here. So this is largely just a kind of oh no, do I have the wrong project open? I have the wrong project open, of course. Oh geez, doing good today, man. Okay. Let's find the right project. Yep, there it is. Quick airdrop. There we go. That was called virtual DOM. Okay, that should do it. Yes, this is what we want. This looks more familiar. Cool. Get everything in the shot there. There we go. Okay, here we go. Yes, so we downloaded virtual DOM and made some changes to the internals. So let's kind of go through this in review. And maybe quickly we can see how this does in the browser just to, no, we're all over the place. We left this in a non-working state. So let's review where we ended up. Things will generally be happening down here in program land. Yeah, so we're starting kind of at normal render, just called in from normal setup. we are a worker, we have this function start worker that's going to initialize a program with implementation.view, and then we changed normal renderer to do some worker stuff. So what this function is going to do is kind of take the place of the normal function that would take messages that are being passed in from like click events. It's going to replace that with something that's going to send stuff over to the main thread. So, or sorry, from the main thread into the worker thread. So we're kind of faking things and making them look all normal to the main thread, and then on the renderer side, we are just accepting incoming messages and calling the original tagger, which is really the thing that's going to push updates into our program. So we have stuff coming in, it all seems like it'll work, and we have stuff going out, and that happens we should have, so we have stuff going in, and we need to be able to accept stuff. Okay, so we do that here as well. So basically, what we need to figure out how to do now is get this worker here actually into the program, and kind of figure out where we want to pass that in. So right now I'm passing in the path to a script. So since this is all happening in the same script, we would pass in worker path on the main thread. We'd pass in just the path to the same script that we loaded to get this code in the first place, and then I'll create a new worker to load this up on that side. And what we want to happen there is we'd like for the worker on that side to be able to pick up on that and like kick itself off. So we, just by virtue of creating the worker on the client or on the main thread, we want to kind of be able to signal to the worker that it should start. So we got a little bit into that here. Let's just get rid of embed for now because it's distracting me. Okay, so we create a worker. We're gonna keep a reference to this app and post a message of start in there, and then return app. And let's also not deal, let's maybe not deal with flags right now. But this is already there, so we kind of get that for free. What is this doing? We don't need this anymore. So we'll just pass this init and ignore the flags. Okay. So now we're calling normal renderer with null, which is fine because we don't care about it if we're in a worker. This is really reminiscent to me of working on like massively parallel C programs at an internship at Argonne National Laboratory, because what you'd have to do is write one C file that just had like different flags at various points in your program to determine if you were in like the main I can't remember what they were called, like the main runner or like the managing runner or one of the workers that it was managing. It was all mixed together. So this is a cool kind of opportunity to reminisce about that for myself. Okay. So now we want to know when we're started. So maybe we don't want this. Maybe like how do we get? We have module name. That's interesting. So if we are a worker, we're pretty certain that things are a singleton. We can make that assumption for now. It doesn't seem super harmful. So maybe we don't attach this object. How are we even calling this function in the first place? Right, okay. So, yes, okay. This function gets called when you create your Elm program on the Elm side. So, if we look at this main here, when we call this program function, we are implicitly calling into virtual DOM. We're calling into, where'd it go? We're calling into this make program function, which is then calling into normal setup, which is going to attach this thing to this object. So we're going to go around that. We're going to do something a little bit shadier, maybe, and we are going to set up our listener right here. So we're just going to say, this is a start message. Let's reverse it and just return. This is a start message. We're going to do some stuff just like right out of the bat. Okay. This function is not so important for the worker. Let's look at what it does with it. Lots of functions in here. Okay. Now I'm going to really quickly open up Twitch, or maybe Periscope on my other screen here, so I can see if anybody's leaving comments or something. Oh, that's a YouTube link. Okay. Okay, nice. There's chat over here on YouTube, so I'm gonna have that open. Cool. Okay. Move that over here. Let's see. So we don't need this. We can pass null in for that as well. And what is node? Node. We don't use node either, do we? We do not. All we care about is tagger. So we're going to call that with nothing. Okay, what else do we need to do here? Pass in worker to make stepper. We get worker from normal renderer, which is called here as the first argument. Cool. I don't really know what kind of timing workers have. I'm not sure if like creating a worker is a blocking operation or something weird like that. So maybe let's do this. Let's have normal setup. Let's create some kind of distributed control logic here. So we'll have like is ready is false. And once we get into here, like app is this. At this point, we're ready to go. So we can set is ready to true. And then what we'll do is send a message to the main thread. What does that look like? Post message. Cool. There are about 15 people watching, it looks like. Awesome. That is more people than I've ever had in a live coding session. That's really exciting. So we'll post like a ready message back. So what I'm trying to do right now, if anybody's just joining, is I'm trying to deal with timing issues between creating a web worker on the main thread and sending messages to it. So what I want to figure out is how can we notify the main thread that we're ready to go on the worker side before the main thread starts doing anything. So worker dot add listener message e.data. Ooh, weird. Now we have like a weird asynchronous thing happening here. Ooh, that's so strange. Does it even matter just to see this work? I don't think it does, to be honest. Well, let's do it anyway. I don't think it's not a big deal. Okay. So worker dot add event listener message data type not equal to ready return. So if we get a ready message back, we will tell it to go ahead and start with these flags. And I guess we don't really need this. Cool. I think that was good. So we get the start message, and then all we have to do is send a message back that says we're ready to start accepting data from the client. What does this even do? I don't think this does anything. Oh, we need to put this in here for this to be worthwhile. Or we need to put this in we're we're not dealing with flags right now. I don't think this does anything. I'm going to ignore it. Like, it'll start accepting messages when it's ready, and that'll be fine. Okay. Wouldn't it be cool if I ran this and it like worked right out of the bat? Oh, that's not an expression. Right off the bat. Okay. So let's compile this. Successfully compiled. That makes sense. We didn't edit any Elm. And then I can't remember how to open up Chrome without actually opening Chrome. Yeah, it'll be fine. I have client stuff that runs on localhost, and I don't want to accidentally open something. Okay. Here we go. We got our browser. And we'll, I hate this. Oh man. I need to get that to open in the right directory. It's working virtual DOM. Let's run an HTTP server. If I open this, okay, let's see what the console has to tell us. Oh good, nothing. I love it. Nothing at all. Oh, because we haven't actually started anything. That's fine. So we need to do this correctly. Let's be elm.main.fullscreen. Okay, so we have a view. Nothing happens when I click buttons. And no errors are thrown. Let's start logging stuff so we can trace through. For anybody who's joining us tonight who's not super familiar with Elm, this is, I apologize, this is like, this is like super experimental Elm work right now. It's just a continuation of something I was doing before joining up with Code and Supply. Thank you so much to them, by the way, for hosting me. So future streams will be more friendly to people with any level of experience in Elm. This was just something I was working on before and wanted to finish. But definitely requires like very in-depth knowledge of the inner workings of Elm to kind of watch and be like, oh yeah, like that's a thing that I do every day. Okay, so I want to see what happens when this function is called. So this is the function that gets triggered whenever something happens as a result of a DOM event. So this onClick increment is setting up a relationship between increment and that tagger function that I just showed, such that it'll be called with all the proper kind of mappings onto types and will kind of flow into the program properly. So that all happens under the hood, and this is the function that's supposed to be responsible for doing that. So I just want to see that it's being called with an increment message. So let me run. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? Oh, that's too bad. Get rid of it. I just have to redo that every time. So we should be seeing messages. Cool, so we have increment there, we have decrement there. So that's fine, that's what we want. On the other side, I want to see that these are coming out. I don't even know if you can see the console from a web worker. I don't even know if the web worker was properly created. Man, not doing good. You know what? It wouldn't have been created. That's what this error is. So that's a bummer. What did I do wrong? One second. Cool. I wanna open up Periscope as well as YouTube. Sorry, I'm like right up in the camera. There it is. All right, so I got Periscope open. That'll connect eventually, maybe. So the problem is that I'm having normal renderer wants a worker. We're creating our worker in normal setup. Full screen wants a path. Therein lies the problem. We need to tell this that our worker should be loaded from build.main.js. Huh. I don't know why it's not opening. Oops. Okay. Update view is not a function. Wow, that's way in there. Oh man. Okay. Update view is not a function. Update view is not a function. Really? iMessage update view is not a function. What is happening right now? It really isn't a function, is it? That's wild. Huh. Wonder why that's happening. Okay, so this is this is happening in the worker. So what if instead of passing null for a view, but like we don't even use the view? That's crazy. I wonder why this is happening. So it's stemming from this function. Oh, we're not returning make stepper. Oh my gosh. Duh. Okay. We have to return a function from this function. Let's try returning a no-op. What does make stepper do? Does it return anything? Sure does. Yeah, okay, let's just pass in a bunch of stuff here. So return make stepper. This is where you get into trouble with having to deal with the symmetry between the worker and the main thread kind of all at once in the same file. This is also null. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's for sure null. And then event node. I don't know if I need event node, but I'm going to make it anyway. Let's just make event node, and we'll make this a no-op. Okay, so now that's covered some of the stuff that went wrong. Wonder what else it'll be. Okay, that takes care of our breakpoints. Okay, a little bit closer every time. So we get into here. We have a message and we have type tagger, so that's exactly what we want, or what we would expect. But it seems like calling tagger directly is not going to work for some reason. What if we also pass tagger to this? Okay, still no good. Still no good. Okay. Looks like we're not sending the model properly. Let me make sure everybody kind of understands what's going on there. So here we are on the main thread. And this handler is supposed to update the model given information coming in from the worker. And it looks like I just made a typo. So this should, I think, yeah, so this should be e.data.model. We're pulling it off of this event from from the worker. Okay, so now let's see what happens after I compile. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wild. That's so cool. I did not expect that to go so smoothly. That's awesome. So we have an update function running in a worker, in a web worker, that pushes out to a view running in the main thread. I'm embarrassed that I'm surprised that this works, but I'm excited about it. That's really neat. Okay. Cool. So we started a little bit late, so I think I'm gonna put in another good like 25 minutes to this. So let's do something cool. Let's try and get subscriptions from ports working maybe. I don't know about that. What about HTTP? Yes, what about HTTP? Let's do HTTP instead. Let's see if we can get HTTP to work. First things first. Let's find out if Xmlhttprequest is a thing we can use in web worker. Okay, nothing's being logged. But that's because I didn't compile it. Always compile your code. Okay. XML HTTP request is totally a thing, which is great news because that's all you need to run Elm's HTTP stuff. So let's go ahead and Elm package install elmlang/HTTP. Yes, please. Yes, please. Let's do some fun things. What's a good HTTP endpoint that I can hit that's like HTTP bin. I don't really want to share my IP with everybody. User agent seems reasonable. What does get do? Oh, of course. There it is. Yeah, let's do user agent. That seems fun. So we're going to fetch the user agent from this worker. So we'll import HTTP. Get got user agent. Let's be a result. HTTP.error string. It also needs to do. We already have JSON decode. Good deal. Get user agent. It's going to be a command message. This is a new laptop, so I don't have my environment all the way set up. My indentation is off. Okay. Let's do JSON.decode. That's okay, cool. Code.field. user-agent code.string, right? Yeah, it's a string. In http.get. Let's look up the docs. Sure. HTTP. .get. And so that takes the URL and our decoder and gives us a request that we can go ahead and send later on. .get. Make this a little bit more compact. Send, and that's going to want a thing that goes from result http.error type of request to message, so I can go straight to got user agent. Awesome. Change our model up. Keep track of this count still, and then we'll have a user agent, which is a result error string. Okay. Well, that's not going to work, is it? Because we have other states than the ones that result gives us. Why can't I see Periscope? That's so weird. I want to know if people are asking questions. There it goes. Okay. So let's like handwrite Chris Jenkins remote data type real fast. Remote data is not asked. Waiting, I like loading. Loading or success A or failure X. And then we'll do like remote data from result XA, remote data XA. It's annoying. Case result of okay A, success A, no, yes, okay, error X, failure X. So this lets us compose a bunch of stuff down here. So this will be instead a remote data, as will this. And then for our initial model, our count will still be 0, but I think it was 1 before, but whatever. And user agent will be loading because we're going to start loading immediately. Yeah, that seems good. result or data model user agent equals data command dot none. That's good for messages. We just need to make sure we're assigning to count here. Model.count -1. That looks good. Got the closing brackets. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Now do an init, which is going to be a model command message. Our init is model, and then right away we're going to get user agent. Okay. And we'll just compose this with remote data from result. Excellent. We use our own init here. Now the last thing we have to do is like actually display stuff. Text user agent, and then a div, and then case model dot user agent of not asked, not requested yet. And that goes in a text node. And then we have loading, text loading, then we have success agent, and then failure error. I really don't feel like dealing with HTTP errors right now because there are a bunch of them. So instead, what we'll do is just to string this thing. I would expect this to show up less likely than some crazy runtime error from the stuff that we've done so far. .count. That looks like a decent Elm program. Let's compile it. Oops. And run it. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So that network request ran inside of the web worker and not in the main thread. That is just the neatest thing. I'm so happy this works. Wow, okay. Oh, that's so cool, I love it. For folks watching along, what we demonstrated is that kind of non-trivial scheduler things that the Elm runtime does work just like totally fine in this setup. And so we have like simple messages coming from the DOM. We have things that run in the scheduler and the worker going okay. That's what executes HTTP requests. And maybe in the next 15 minutes we'll keep the momentum going and we will set up a port. Ports are they'd be a necessary thing for all this. So let's figure out how we would do that. We don't need this anymore. So let's do self dot event listener message function on event e.data.type is a port. These will be a subscription ports. Probably what we won't get to tonight are things like being able to subscribe to stuff in the DOM. I have genuinely no idea how to deal with that right now, so maybe we'll come back to it another time. So if this is a port message, we will maybe say like the port key lol Harry Potter is data.key and message is e.data.message, and we'll say we'll guarantee app in here as well. We'll do like app dot ports, oops, or not app ports, app dot ports, port key dot send port message. So we've created a bridge from the main thread into the worker for sending port messages. And now we just have to make sure it's set up properly here. So we'll do like for k in app.ports. Let's guarantee ports first. Ports app.ports k equals function message worker dot post message type port key k message. So we're patching ports on the main thread to have them send all their data into the worker and then returning app. Yeah, I like it. I think that's super legit. So we'll grab our app and then we'll do like set timeout, or set interval rather. So every second we'll send a message into our ports. We'll say app.ports.timer.send. Oh, whoops. Yes, okay. So we want to do this. If app.ports k.send subscription ports will be, or command ports will be different. Ports k.send will patch send. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's send one. Send one into this port every time the timer ticks. In our program, we say this is now a port module. What do we call that? Timer. So we have a timer port. timer message. Timer field on our model. Timer handler in our update. By the way, for people who are on the fence about Elm, see how quick it is to refactor your programs? It's pretty nice. I'm a big fan. I'm sorry, that sounded a little bit condescending. I apologize. I think Elm programs are super nice to refactor. Okay, so timer has incoming value, and we will just do like timer equals model.timer plus incoming value. So we'll increment by however much every time the timer ticks from the outside world. Okay. That's fine. Everything else looks good. And then we'll just sneak this timer into our view. Totally compiles. Let's see if it runs. Ah, boo. Whoops. Need to make sure that's a variable. Oops. Need to make sure we compile. Okay, so we're not getting messages in. This should be incrementing every second. So let's debug that. So let's make sure stuff is going into the send function. Sure is. There we go. So we're definitely posting a message here. I'm pretty sure that's correct. So I'll leave that for now. Let's see if we're catching this. Let's see if we are catching this event here. Keep doing that. We are. Interesting. So we're definitely catching that. What about app and app.ports? Let's see if this blows up. Nope, totally there. Totally has a send function. Huh. Oh. I did not write a correct Elm program. When using ports, you must always subscribe to see their values. Subscriptions are a model that goes to a sub message. And this is going to be, it's just always going to be, what is it going to be? What is it? I'm losing steam here. It's going to be timer with the message type of timer. So we're tagging timer with timer. It's not a very good naming pattern, but it's good enough to see if it works or not. Okay, so now we're actually subscribed to this port. Probably don't need any more console.logs. Neat. Oh man, it works. That's cool. All right, folks. Well, so what we've done today is we finished getting the model and the update parts of an Elm program to run in a web worker, which are just like totally not how Elm works out of the box. So we did an experiment to see if it would work, and it does. So we demonstrated that we can get UI messages to flow into the app and back out across the worker main thread boundary. So that's what's happening when I click these buttons. We demonstrated that we can do your basic kind of task-based I/O with Elm. So HTTP requests are one of the more common examples of that. So we demonstrated we could send an HTTP request from our worker and get the data back and put it into the view just fine. No hacks need to be made to get the scheduler to behave in a worker context. And we demonstrated that we can cross the main thread worker border with an incoming port. So some things that would remain are outgoing ports, so the ability to send things out from your Elm program into the world. And we have 2 minutes left, and I think we could probably pull that off. I don't want to do that right now because there's this interesting property in the scheduler where you have to kind of keep track of messages that aren't ready. So that's a little bit more complicated than something we can do in 2 minutes. So kind of getting back on track, we didn't cover sending messages out from an Elm program over a port into JavaScript. I'm not sure what else there. Oh, and we didn't cover dealing with subscriptions that depend on the DOM. So you can subscribe to things like the Windows dimensions, and I am not entirely sure what it would take to make sure that those work. We would probably have to fork those as well and make sure that they have this sort of worker main thread duality happening inside of them. So maybe that's another stream, but I'm pretty happy with being able to demonstrate that this is a thing that can happen. So if I was really diligent, I would take like a larger Elm application that I've written and see what the performance characteristics are. But I'm not going to do that tonight. So maybe if I can get some help from some community members to do that, that would be fun. All right. So thank you so much to Code and Supply for having me on their streaming channel. Thank you to everybody who's still watching. I hope I haven't scared you away from Elm by starting off with a really more advanced topic. And I hope you'll join me again soon for some more some I don't want to pick the wrong word for more Elm content that like people of all different experience can enjoy. Yeah, because Elm is really, as a community, really appreciative of its beginners, and in addition to the people who've been doing it for a while. So I want to make sure and live up to that. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and I'll see y'all next time. Now's the awkward part where I waved and I have to turn off the stream, and everybody can still see me. All right.